Imagine a loyal dog standing guard over a mysterious suitcase in the heart of a dark forest for hours, refusing to back down despite mounting fears. When a compassionate cop finally peers inside, the emotional truth he uncovers brings him to tears, revealing a story of unwavering loyalty and hidden sorrow. Write in the comments where you're watching this video from. Emma and Max loved adventures. Every chance they got, they would explore new places together. This weekend was special because Emma had planned a camping trip deep into the Whispering Forest. The forest was known for its tall trees, chirping birds, and peaceful trails. Emma was excited to spend time away from the busy city, and Max, her loyal German shepherd, was just as thrilled. On a bright Saturday morning, Emma packed her suitcase with all the things she would need: warm clothes, a sleeping bag, some food, and a map of the forest. Max watched her with his big brown eyes, wagging his tail happily. He knew that wherever Emma went, he would go too. They made a perfect team. When they arrived at the edge of the forest, the sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating beautiful patterns on the ground. Emma looked around and felt a sense of calm wash over her. "This is going to be great, Max," she said, giving him a gentle pat on the head. Max barked softly, as if he agreed. They walked along a narrow trail that twisted and turned between the trees. Birds sang overhead, and the air was fresh with the scent of pine. Emma set up their campsite near a big, sturdy tree. She found the perfect spot where the ground was soft and the view was open. "Here we go," she said, starting to unpack her things. Max helped by digging a little hole for their tent poles and making sure everything was in place. He was always so helpful and careful. Emma smiled, watching him work. She felt lucky to have such a smart and caring dog by her side. Once the campsite was set up, Emma took out her suitcase and placed it next to the tree. She made sure it was secure, knowing how important her things were for their trip. "Don't worry, Max. I'll take care of everything." Max sat down beside the suitcase, keeping a watchful eye on it. He liked to make sure that everything was safe. As the day went on, Emma and Max explored more of the forest. They found a clear stream where they could drink fresh water and saw deer grazing in the distance. Emma took pictures of the beautiful scenery, while Max sniffed around, enjoying all the new smells. They felt happy and free, surrounded by nature. When the sun began to set, the forest took on a golden glow. Emma built a small fire and cooked some hot dogs and marshmallows. The flames danced and crackled, lighting up their campsite. Emma and Max sat close to the fire, enjoying their meal. Max occasionally glanced at the suitcase, making sure it was still safe. After dinner, Emma decided to read a book under the stars. She spread out her blanket and sat down, with Max lying beside her, keeping him company. The night was quiet, with only the sounds of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. Emma felt peaceful, knowing that Max was there to protect their campsite. As Emma read her book, she noticed how Max's eyes never left the suitcase. He was always alert, even when everything seemed calm. Emma understood that Max was doing his job, keeping their belongings safe. She appreciated his dedication and felt a deep bond with him. The moon rose high in the sky, casting a silvery light over the forest. Emma closed her book and looked up at the stars. "It's so beautiful up here, Max," she whispered. Max looked up too, his eyes reflecting the moonlight. They sat together in silence, enjoying the magic of the night. Hours passed, and the forest grew quieter. Emma felt her eyelids grow heavy and decided it was time to go to bed. She carefully folded her blanket and placed it inside the tent. "Good night, Max," she said softly. Max gave a gentle bark, as if to say good night back. He stayed by the suitcase, making sure nothing disturbed their peaceful night. Inside the tent, Emma lay down, feeling safe and warm. She closed her eyes, listening to the gentle sounds of the forest. Max stayed awake, his ears twitching at every sound. He was always ready to protect Emma and their things, no matter what. As the night went on, the forest seemed to come alive with sounds. Every rustle and snap of a twig made Max stand a little taller, his eyes focused on the suitcase. Emma slept peacefully, knowing that Max was watching over her. She dreamed of more adventures, with Max always by her side. In the early hours of the morning, the first light of dawn began to peek through the trees. Emma stirred, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. She woke up slowly, stretching and yawning. Max was still by the suitcase, looking tired but alert. Emma reached out to pet him gently. "Good morning, Max. You did a great job last night." Max wagged his tail weakly, happy to see Emma awake. He gave her a soft bark, as if to say he was glad she was okay. Emma smiled, feeling grateful for her faithful friend. She packed up their things carefully, making sure everything was in order. Max helped by carrying small items with his mouth, showing how much he wanted to help. As they prepared to leave the campsite, Emma took one last look around. The forest was waking up, with birds singing and the sun shining brightly. She felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that they had spent a wonderful night together. "Let's go, Max," she said, ready for the next part of their adventure. They walked along the trail, Emma carrying her suitcase and Max leading the way. The bond between them was strong, built on trust and love. Emma knew that no matter where they went, Max would always be there to protect her. They continued their journey through the beautiful whispering forest, ready for whatever came next. Emma and Max had created many happy memories that day. They had faced the quiet night together, with Max standing guard and Emma feeling safe. Their friendship was unbreakable, and Emma felt lucky to have such a wonderful companion. As they walked, Emma thought about how important Max was to her and how much she appreciated his loyalty. The sun shone brightly overhead, making the forest look even more beautiful. Emma felt a sense of joy and peace, knowing that she and Max were a perfect team. They had shared a special experience, one that brought them closer together. Emma looked down at Max, who was happily trotting beside her, and felt a surge of happiness. As they reached the end of the trail, Emma knew that their adventure was just beginning. There were many more forests to explore, many more sunsets to watch, and many more nights to spend under the stars. With Max by her side, she felt ready for anything. They had each other, and that was all they needed. Emma and Max packed their last few things, making sure nothing was left behind. They double-checked the campsite, ensuring that it was clean and tidy. Emma felt a sense of responsibility, knowing that Max had worked hard to keep everything safe. She was proud of her brave dog and grateful for his help. As they walked away from the forest, Emma felt a tug of sadness. She didn't want to leave such a beautiful place behind. But she knew that there were more adventures waiting for them. Max looked back one last time, as if saying goodbye to the forest that had been their home for the night. The road ahead was long, but Emma and Max walked together with confidence. They had faced the challenges of the forest and come out stronger. Emma felt a deep sense of trust in Max, knowing that he would always be there to protect her. Their journey was filled with love and companionship, making every step worthwhile. As they traveled back to the city, Emma thought about the lessons she had learned. She realized how important it was to have someone you could rely on, someone who would stand by you no matter what. Max was more than just a dog, he was her best friend and guardian. Emma felt blessed to have such a wonderful companion. The sun began to set again, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Emma and Max reached the edge of the forest, where their adventure had begun. They took one last look at the trees, feeling a sense of fulfillment. Emma knew that they would return someday, ready for more adventures and happy memories. As they drove home, Emma felt a warm feeling in her heart. She thought about how Max had kept watch over their campsite, staying vigilant and brave. She admired his loyalty and dedication, knowing that she could always count on him. Max rested his head on Emma's lap, content and happy. Back in their cozy home, Emma unpacked her suitcase, placing everything in its place. Max settled down by the window, looking out at the world with his gentle eyes. Emma sat beside him, petting his fur and smiling. She felt a deep connection with her dog, knowing that their bond was unbreakable. That night, as Emma drifted off to sleep, she thought about the day they had spent together. She felt grateful for the peaceful moments and the challenges they had overcome. Emma knew that with Max by her side, every adventure would be filled with love and happiness. She closed her eyes, feeling safe and loved, ready for whatever the future held. Emma and Max had shared a special day in the Whispering Forest. They had built a campsite, enjoyed the beauty of nature, and faced the quiet night together. Their friendship was stronger than ever, and Emma felt lucky to have such a wonderful dog. As she slept, she dreamed of more adventures, knowing that Max would always be there to protect her. The next morning, Emma woke up refreshed and happy. She stretched and looked at Max, who was already up and ready for the day. "Good morning, Max," she said, giving him a hug. Max wagged his tail, excited for another day of adventures. Emma knew that no matter where they went, they would always have each other. The trip to the Whispering Forest had been a success, filled with joy and love. Emma felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that they had spent quality time together in such a beautiful place. She was proud of Max for his unwavering protection and grateful for his companionship. As they prepared for their next adventure, Emma felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. She knew that with Max by her side, anything was possible. They had faced the calm before the storm and come out stronger. Emma looked forward to many more days filled with happiness and love, knowing that their bond would only grow deeper. Emma and Max's adventure in the Whispering Forest had brought them closer together. They had shared peaceful moments, faced challenges, and created lasting memories. Emma felt a deep sense of gratitude for her loyal dog, knowing that their friendship was one of the most precious things in her life. As the days passed, Emma and Max continued to explore new places, always finding joy in each other's company. Their bond was unbreakable, built on trust, love, and shared experiences. Emma knew that no matter where life took them, they would always be together, ready for the next adventure. The Whispering Forest had left a lasting impression on Emma and Max. They had learned the importance of friendship, loyalty, and the beauty of nature. Emma felt a sense of peace, knowing that she had a faithful companion in Max. Together, they faced the world with courage and love, creating a story that was uniquely theirs. Emma and Max's story was one of love and adventure. They had faced the calm before the storm and emerged stronger than ever. Emma felt blessed to have such a wonderful dog, always by her side, ready to protect and care for her. Their journey was filled with happiness, and Emma looked forward to many more days of love and exploration with Max. As the sun set on their first day in the Whispering Forest, Emma and Max felt a sense of contentment. They had shared a special experience, one that deepened their bond and created unforgettable memories. Emma knew that with Max by her side, every adventure would be filled with love, loyalty, and joy. The day had been long and fulfilling, filled with moments of peace and excitement. Emma felt a deep connection with Max, knowing that their friendship was one of the most important things in her life. As they settled down for the night, Emma felt a sense of gratitude for the wonderful day they had spent together. Emma and Max had created a story of their own in the Whispering Forest. They had faced the night together, with Max standing guard and Emma feeling safe. Their friendship was stronger than ever, built on trust and love. Emma knew that no matter where their adventures took them, they would always have each other. As they drifted off to sleep, Emma felt a sense of happiness and peace. She knew that with Max by her side, every day would be filled with love and adventure. Emma closed her eyes, feeling safe and loved, ready for whatever the future held. She dreamed of more beautiful days with her loyal dog, knowing that their bond would never fade. The sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Emma and her dog Max, a strong and loyal German shepherd, had spent the day hiking through the beautiful forest. The trees were tall and thick, their leaves whispering secrets as the wind passed through them. Emma felt happy and safe with Max by her side. They found a perfect spot near a big, sturdy tree to set up their camp for the night. Emma placed her suitcase carefully next to the tree, making sure it was secure. Max sat close to the suitcase, his eyes wide and watchful, his ears perked up as he listened to the sounds around them. As the last light of day faded, the forest transformed. The sky turned dark blue, and the stars began to twinkle above. The sounds of daytime creatures quieted, replaced by the mysterious noises of the night. Emma decided it was time to set up her tent. She worked quickly, knowing that night could bring unexpected challenges. Max stayed close, watching over the suitcase as Emma worked. Once the tent was set up, Emma climbed inside, feeling the cool air against her skin. She pulled the cover over her and settled down on her sleeping bag. Max remained by the suitcase, his body tense and alert. Inside the tent, Emma tried to relax, but the forest at night was full of strange and unsettling sounds. She heard the hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves, and the distant call of an unknown animal. Emma took a deep breath, knowing that Max was there to protect her and their belongings. She patted Max gently and whispered, "Good night, Max, stay close." Max nodded slightly, his eyes never leaving the darkness beyond the tree. Emma felt a sense of calm knowing that Max was watching over them. She closed her eyes, trying to drift off to sleep. But every now and then, a loud snap or rustling noise made her jump a little. The forest seemed to come alive with sounds that Emma couldn't quite understand. Max's growls grew louder, and he stood up, his whole body shaking as he stared into the darkness. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the forest as a large branch fell to the ground nearby. Emma's heart raced as she heard the sound. Max sprang up, barking fiercely, his fur bristling with fear and anger. Emma quickly got out of her sleeping bag, her eyes wide with worry. She looked around, trying to see what had caused the noise, but the darkness made it difficult to see anything clearly. "Max, what's wrong?" Emma asked, her voice trembling slightly. Max continued to bark, his eyes fixed on the shadows moving between the trees. Emma walked closer to Max, trying to calm him down. She reached out and touched his shoulder, hoping to soothe his fears. But Max was too frightened to relax. He continued to growl, his body tense and ready to protect. Emma peered into the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. She could see the shapes of the trees swaying gently in the night breeze, but there was no sign of any animal or person. The eerie silence that followed the loud noises made Emma feel even more uneasy. She knew that Max was trying to protect her, but she couldn't help feeling scared herself. As the night went on, the sounds of the forest seemed to get louder and more intense. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig made Emma jump. Max stayed by the suitcase, his eyes darting back and forth, always watching for any sign of danger. Emma felt a knot in her stomach, worried that something might come to them. She tried to stay calm, reminding herself that Max was there to keep them safe. Minutes turned into hours, and the night seemed to stretch on forever. Emma's eyes grew heavy, but she couldn't sleep, not with the constant fear that something might be out there. She kept glancing at Max, who was still standing guard, his growls echoing softly through the forest. Emma reached out and petted Max's head, trying to comfort him as much as he comforted her. Suddenly, Emma heard a loud rustling noise coming from behind the trees. Her heart skipped a beat as she looked in that direction. Max immediately started to bark louder, his body tense and ready to defend. Emma's mind raced, wondering what could be approaching. She felt a surge of fear, but also a sense of gratitude for having Max by her side. The rustling grew louder, and Emma could hear heavy footsteps moving closer. She took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Max continued to bark, never taking his eyes off the source of the noise. Emma felt a lump form in her throat as she waited, not knowing what was coming next. The tension in the air was thick, and every second felt like an eternity. Then, out of the darkness, a pair of glowing eyes appeared, staring directly at Max and the suitcase. Emma froze, her breath caught in her throat. The eyes moved closer, and Emma could make out the shape of a large animal moving through the trees. It was hard to tell what it was, but it looked big and scary. Max stood his ground, his growls turning into fierce barks as he faced the approaching figure. The animal stepped into the clearing, revealing itself to be a massive bear. It stood tall, looking at Max with a curious but cautious gaze. Emma held her breath, hoping that the bear wouldn't attack. Max barked louder, trying to scare the bear away, but the bear didn't seem intimidated. Instead, it sniffed the air, its nose twitching as it took in the scents around it. Emma felt a mix of fear and awe as she watched the bear. She knew that bears could be dangerous, but she also knew that Max was doing everything he could to protect her. The bear looked around, its eyes never leaving Max and the suitcase. Emma could see the tension in Max's body, the way he stood protectively in front of the suitcase, ready to defend against any threat. For a few moments, the bear and Max stood there, facing each other in the quiet clearing. Emma felt a surge of gratitude for Max's bravery, but also a deep concern for both of them. She wanted to help Max, but she didn't know what to do. The bear seemed to sense Emma's presence and slowly backed away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. Emma let out a sigh of relief, but Max remained on high alert, still watching the trees for any signs of danger. As the bear left, the sounds of the forest returned to normal. The tension in the air began to lift, but Emma could still feel the fear lingering in her chest. She knelt down and hugged Max tightly, thanking him for protecting her. Max wagged his tail weakly, his eyes still wary as he looked around the clearing. Emma stroked his fur gently, trying to calm him down. "Good boy, Max," Emma whispered, her voice filled with love and gratitude. Max looked up at her, his eyes softening as he sensed her emotions. He had been so brave, standing up to the bear and keeping them safe throughout the night. Emma felt a deep bond with her loyal dog, knowing that Max would always be there to protect her no matter what. The night continued, but the encounter with the bear had left Emma feeling more aware of the dangers that lurked in the forest. She decided to stay extra vigilant, knowing that other creatures might still be out there. Max continued to watch over the suitcase, his body tense and ready to act at any moment. Emma felt a mix of fear and admiration for her brave companion. Hours passed, and the sky began to lighten with the first signs of dawn. The darkness of the night was slowly giving way to the soft light of morning. Emma felt exhausted but knew that she needed to check on Max and the suitcase. She carefully got out of her sleeping bag, trying not to wake Max too much. She reached out and gently patted his head, whispering, "Come on, Max. It's morning." Max looked up at her, his eyes tired but still alert. He stood up slowly, stretching his legs, and followed Emma out of the tent. Together, they walked over to the suitcase, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the trees. Max sniffed around the suitcase, making sure there were no more threats. Emma opened the suitcase, taking a deep breath as she looked inside. The contents were safe, and the night had passed without any more dangers. Emma felt a surge of relief and happiness. She closed the suitcase and looked down at Max, who wagged his tail weakly but still remained alert. Emma knew that the night had been scary, but Max had kept them safe through it all. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for her loyal dog, knowing that he had risked himself to protect her. They began to pack up their camp, the sun now fully rising and lighting up the forest with its warm glow. Emma felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude, knowing that the night had passed safely thanks to Max. She hugged him one more time before they continued their journey through the forest, side by side. As they walked away from their campsite, Max stayed close, keeping a watchful eye on the suitcase. Emma could see that he was still on edge, ready to defend their belongings from any future threats. She knew that Max's bravery had saved them, and she was determined to always take care of him as he had taken care of her. The forest seemed less scary now, with the morning light shining through the trees and the sounds of the day beginning to fill the air. Emma felt stronger and more confident, knowing that she and Max could face whatever challenges came their way. They walked together, side by side, ready for the next adventure, but always keeping in mind the night when Max had stood guard against the unknown. As they moved deeper into the forest, Emma couldn't help but feel a deep connection with Max. She looked down at him, seeing the determination in his eyes and the strength in his stance. Max had always been a loyal companion, but tonight had shown just how much he cared for her. Emma reached out and gently patted his side, feeling a sense of warmth and love for her brave dog. The forest around them was now filled with the sounds of morning. Birds sang their cheerful songs, and the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her, knowing that the night had been a test of their bond and their courage. Max walked beside her, his head held high and his eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. As they continued their hike, Emma thought about how lucky she was to have Max. He wasn't just a pet, he was a true friend and protector. The memory of the night would stay with her, a reminder of the strength and loyalty that Max possessed. She knew that no matter where their journey took them, Max would always be there to watch over her and keep her safe. The path through the forest was now clear and bright, illuminated by the sunlight filtering through the trees. Emma felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement for the adventures ahead. She and Max walked together, their steps in sync, moving forward with confidence and trust in each other. As they walked, Emma couldn't help but smile, thinking about how Max had stood guard through the night, protecting her and the suitcase from the unknown threats of the forest. She felt a deep sense of pride and love for her loyal dog, knowing that he would always be there to protect her no matter what challenges they faced. The forest seemed to welcome them, with the morning light casting a beautiful glow on everything around them. Emma felt a sense of gratitude for the safety and companionship that Max provided. She knew that with Max by her side, she could face anything that the forest might bring their way. Together, they continued their journey, the bond between them stronger than ever. Emma felt a deep connection with Max, knowing that their friendship was built on trust, loyalty, and unwavering support. As they walked deeper into the forest, Emma felt ready for whatever lay ahead, knowing that Max would always be there to watch over her and keep her safe. The night had been long and scary, but it had also brought Emma and Max closer together. She felt a deep sense of appreciation for her brave and loyal dog, knowing that he had risked himself to protect her. Emma reached out and petted Max's head one last time before they continued their hike, feeling grateful for the strength and courage that Max had shown. With the morning sun shining down on them, Emma and Max walked together through the forest, ready for whatever adventures awaited them. The bond between them was unbreakable, a testament to the love and loyalty that they shared. Emma knew that no matter where their journey took them, Max would always be there to protect her and keep her safe. As they moved forward, Emma felt a sense of peace and contentment, knowing that she and Max could face anything together. The forest was no longer a place of fear, but a place of adventure and discovery, thanks to the bravery and loyalty of her faithful dog. Emma and Max continued their hike, their hearts full of gratitude and love for each other, ready to take on whatever the forest had in store for them. The night was calm at first, with the stars twinkling brightly above the tall trees. Emma and her dog, Max, had set up their camp near a quiet trail in the forest. The sun had set hours ago, and the moon cast a gentle glow through the branches. Emma felt safe with Max by her side. She placed her suitcase carefully next to a big, strong tree and settled into her cozy tent. As the night grew darker, the forest began to change. Strange sounds echoed all around them, branches creaked, leaves rustled, and distant hoots of an owl broke the silence. Emma felt a little uneasy but trusted that Max would keep her safe. She decided to sleep, pulling her blanket tightly around her. Max, however, stayed awake, his ears perked up and eyes wide open. Max was a German Shepherd, a strong and loyal dog. He knew how to protect Emma, and he took his job very seriously. But tonight, something felt different. Max kept glancing towards the shadows, his muscles tense and ready to react. Every little noise made him alert, and he would bark softly, trying to warn off any potential threats. Emma woke up a few times during the night, feeling the strange noises around them. Each time, she felt comforted by Max's presence. She reached out to pet him, grateful for his protection. But as the night went on, she began to worry about how tired Max must be getting. She knew dogs need rest too, and Max had been guarding the suitcase for hours without a break. Max paced back and forth, his paws moving quickly over the forest floor. He sniffed the air, trying to detect any danger. Sometimes, he would stand still, his body rigid, staring into the darkness as if he could see something Emma couldn't. His tail wagged slightly when he felt safe, but it would stiffen when his guard was up again. The moon moved across the sky, and the sounds of the forest changed. The wind whispered through the trees, and the calls of nocturnal animals filled the air. Max stayed focused on his task, never letting his guard down. Emma watched him with growing concern. She saw how tired his legs were and how his eyes showed signs of worry. She wanted to let him rest, but she knew how important it was to protect her belongings. As the night deepened, the sounds became louder and more frequent. A branch snapped somewhere nearby, and Max immediately looked towards the noise, barking sharply. Emma jumped up, her heart racing. She looked around the dark forest, trying to see what was causing Max to react. But there was nothing visible, just the thick trees and the shadows dancing in the moonlight. Emma took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. She knew Max was just being his protective self, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She gently touched Max's head, soothing him. "It's okay, Max. I'm here," she whispered. Max relaxed a little, his barking slowing down. He glanced back at Emma, his eyes filled with worry, as if he could sense her fear. Minutes passed, and the night continued its vigil. Max lay down beside the suitcase, his head resting on his paws. Emma sat nearby, watching him closely. She noticed how his breathing was heavy, a sign that he was exhausted from staying alert all night. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small treat, offering it to him. Max took the treat gratefully, his tail wagging slightly. It was a small comfort, but it showed Emma how much she cared for him. As the hours ticked by, Emma tried to stay awake, but her eyes grew heavy. She felt a mix of gratitude and worry for Max. She wanted to help him, to share the burden of guarding the suitcase, but she didn't know what to do. The forest seemed endless, and the night felt never-ending. Emma leaned back against the tree, closing her eyes for a moment, hoping to get some rest. Max stayed awake, his senses on high alert. He listened to every sound, every rustle in the bushes, every snap of a twig. He knew that something was out there, something that didn't belong. His loyalty to Emma and his sense of duty kept him going, even when he was tired and scared. He wanted to protect her and their belongings from any harm. Emma woke up again, feeling the weight of the night. She looked over at Max, who was still watching the dark forest with his intense gaze. She could see the fear and exhaustion in his eyes. "We need to stay strong, Max," she said softly. "We're almost through the night." Max barked softly, as if to reassure her that he was there for her, no matter what. As the first light of dawn began to break, the forest started to change. The dark shadows were replaced by the soft light of morning, and the sounds of night creatures gave way to the chirping of birds. Max remained vigilant, but the intensity of his guarding began to ease. He took a deep breath, feeling the tension in his body start to release. Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her, knowing that the night was coming to an end. Emma stood up, stretching her arms and legs. She looked at Max, who was now lying down beside the suitcase, his eyes closing slowly as he finally allowed himself to relax. "Thank you, Max," she whispered, stroking his fur gently. Max lifted his head, looking up at her with a tired but loyal gaze. He had kept watch all night, never wavering in his duty to protect her and their belongings. As the sun rose higher, Emma began to feel hopeful. The forest, which had seemed so intimidating at night, now felt more welcoming in the daylight. She knew that the most challenging part of their journey was over, and she felt grateful to have Max by her side. She carefully picked up the suitcase, feeling its weight, and turned to Max. "Let's pack up and head out, buddy," she said with a smile. Max wagged his tail weakly, showing his contentment. He had done his job well, and now it was time for both of them to rest and continue their journey. Emma gathered her things, making sure everything was secure, and began to pack up their camp. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for Max's unwavering loyalty and bravery throughout the night. As they prepared to leave, Emma took one last look around the now peaceful forest. The fear and tension of the night had been replaced by a sense of accomplishment and relief. She knew that they had faced something unknown together and had come through it safely, thanks to Max's courage and dedication. With the morning sun shining down on them, Emma and Max set off on their path, leaving the forest behind. Emma felt a strong connection to her dog, knowing that no matter what challenges they faced, Max would always be there to protect and support her. She patted Max's head, giving him a reassuring smile. "We did it, Max. We made it through the night." Max looked up at her, his eyes filled with love and loyalty. He was tired, but he was happy to see Emma safe. Together, they walked down the trail, ready to continue their adventure, knowing that their bond was stronger than ever. Throughout the night, Emma had watched Max struggle to stay awake and alert. She saw how his muscles ached from pacing and how his eyes were heavy with exhaustion. Despite his tiredness, Max never stopped watching over the suitcase. Emma felt a pang in her heart, realizing how much Max was sacrificing to keep her safe. She wished she could do more to help him, to share the burden that he had taken on so willingly. Emma thought about all the times Max had been there for her before. When she was scared in a new place, Max was always by her side. When she felt lonely, Max's presence brought her comfort. Tonight was no different. Max was her protector, her friend, and she couldn't imagine traveling without him. She felt a surge of love and gratitude for the brave dog who had guarded her so faithfully. As dawn approached, Emma noticed how Max's movements had slowed. His paws were sore, and his breathing was heavy. She reached out to touch his back, giving him a gentle squeeze. "You did an amazing job, Max," she said softly. Max looked up at her, his eyes reflecting his relief that the night was almost over. He knew that Emma was proud of him, and that made all his effort worth it. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow on the campsite. The forest seemed less threatening in the daylight, and the tension that had filled the night began to lift. Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her, knowing that they had made it through the darkest part of the night together. She felt stronger, not just because of Max's protection, but also because of the bond they shared. As the morning light grew brighter, Emma and Max prepared to leave the forest. Emma packed up their belongings, making sure everything was in order. She glanced at Max, who was now lying down, finally able to rest. She knew that Max needed to recover from his long night of guarding, and she felt grateful that he had kept her safe until the very end. Emma stood up, stretching her arms towards the sky. She took one last look around the peaceful forest, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. She turned to Max, giving him a loving pat on the head. "Let's go home, Max," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Max slowly got to his feet, his eyes still showing signs of fatigue, but also a sense of pride in what he had done. Together, Emma and Max walked away from the forest, the sun shining brightly on their path. They had faced the challenges of the night and had come out stronger on the other side. Emma felt a deep connection to her dog, knowing that no matter what obstacles they encountered in the future, Max would always be there to protect her. As they left the forest behind, Emma felt a sense of relief and happiness. She knew that the night had been tough, but it had also brought her and Max closer together. She felt thankful for Max's unwavering loyalty and bravery, and she knew that their bond was something truly special. Emma looked down at Max, who was now walking beside her with a steady gait. She felt a rush of emotions, pride, gratitude, and love for her faithful companion. Max had stayed by her side through the darkest part of the night, guarding her belongings and keeping her safe from any harm. Emma knew that Max was more than just a pet, he was a true friend and protector. As they continued their journey, Emma felt a renewed sense of confidence. She knew that with Max by her side, she could face any challenge that came their way. The bond they shared was unbreakable, built on trust, loyalty, and love. Emma felt lucky to have Max in her life, and she promised herself to always cherish and care for him, just as he had done for her. The forest, once a place of fear and uncertainty, had become a place of strength and resilience. Emma and Max had faced the unknown together and had come through it stronger than ever. Emma felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that they had overcome the night's challenges with courage and determination. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Emma and Max walked hand in paw, ready to continue their adventure. They had proven to each other that no matter what obstacles they faced, they could rely on each other for support and protection. Emma felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that she and Max were a team, capable of handling anything that came their way. The journey ahead was still long, but Emma felt ready to face it with Max by her side. She knew that there would be more challenges and adventures, but she felt confident that together, they could handle anything. Max's bravery and loyalty had shown her the true meaning of friendship and trust, and Emma felt grateful for every moment they shared. As they walked away from the forest, Emma glanced back one last time. The trees stood tall and silent, the night's fears now a distant memory. She felt a sense of closure, knowing that they had faced the night together and had come out stronger because of it. Emma and Max had formed an unbreakable bond, one that would carry them through whatever lay ahead. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the fresh morning air fill her lungs. She looked down at Max, who was walking beside her with a calm and steady pace. She felt a surge of love and gratitude for her loyal dog, knowing that Max would always be there to protect her and keep her safe. Together, they continued their journey, ready to face whatever adventures awaited them. As they walked, Emma thought about the night they had spent in the forest. She remembered how scared she had felt at first, but how Max had stayed by her side, guarding the suitcase with unwavering determination. She felt proud of Max's bravery and grateful for his loyalty. Emma knew that Max was a true hero, and she felt lucky to have him as her companion. The bond between Emma and Max had grown even stronger that night. They had faced fear and uncertainty together, and their trust in each other had deepened. Emma felt a sense of unity with Max, knowing that they could rely on each other no matter what. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to continue her journey with Max by her side. As the day went on, Emma and Max walked through the forest, the memories of the night still fresh in their minds. They had faced the unknown together and had come out stronger because of it. Emma felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that they had overcome the night's challenges with courage and determination. Emma and Max continued their journey, ready to face whatever the future held. They had proven to themselves that they could handle any obstacle as long as they stayed together. Emma felt a deep sense of gratitude for Max's unwavering loyalty and bravery, knowing that their bond was something truly special. As they walked, Emma felt a sense of peace and happiness. She knew that no matter what challenges they faced, Max would always be there to protect her and keep her safe. She felt grateful for their strong bond and the love they shared, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. The journey ahead was full of possibilities, and Emma felt excited to see what adventures awaited them. With Max by her side, she felt confident and ready to face whatever came their way. Emma and Max walked forward, their hearts full of love and their bond stronger than ever. Together, Emma and Max continued their adventure, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. They had proven that their bond was unbreakable, and that their loyalty and love for each other would carry them through any obstacle. Emma felt grateful for Max's unwavering protection and loyalty, knowing that their friendship was something truly special. As they walked into the bright new day, Emma felt a sense of hope and happiness. She knew that with Max by her side, she could face anything. Their journey was just beginning, and Emma felt excited for all the adventures that awaited them. With Max's bravery and her determination, Emma felt ready to take on the world, knowing that together, they could achieve anything. Emma and Max walked together, their hearts full of love and their spirits strong. They had faced the night's challenges and had come out stronger because of it. Emma felt grateful for Max's unwavering loyalty and bravery, knowing that their bond was something truly special. Together, they continued their journey, ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that their friendship would always guide them through. Emma woke up to the soft sound of birds chirping outside her tent. The first rays of sunlight peeked through the trees, casting a warm glow over the forest. She stretched and yawned, feeling a bit tired from the restless night. Next to her, Max lay curled up, his breathing slow and steady now that the sun was rising. "Good morning, Max," Emma whispered, gently petting his head. Max lifted his head and looked at her with his big, brown eyes. He wagged his tail weakly, still looking a bit shaken from the night. Emma glanced at the suitcase still guarded by Max. It looked safe, but she couldn't help but feel worried about how long Max had been standing watch. She decided it was time to check on him and the luggage. Carefully, Emma stood up and took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. "Come on, Max. Let's see how you're doing." She reached out to Max, who hesitated for a moment before allowing her to approach. As Emma got closer, she noticed that Max was panting heavily. His ears were drooping, and his eyes were filled with fear and exhaustion. Emma's heart ached seeing her brave friend like this. "Max, you've been so strong," Emma said softly, stroking his fur. "I know you were scared, but you're safe now." She looked around the forest, trying to see if anything was wrong. The trees were still tall and dark, but the sunlight made everything look less frightening. Emma knelt down beside Max and gently lifted his head. She could see the worry in his eyes, and she knew she had to do something to help him. Max had always been her loyal companion, always there to protect her. She couldn't imagine leaving him alone any longer. "We need to get help, Max," Emma said firmly. "You're doing so well, but you shouldn't have to be alone out here." She reached for her phone, hoping there was still signal in the forest. To her relief, she saw that she had a weak connection. Emma quickly dialed the local authorities, explaining the situation. "Hello, my name is Emma. I'm camping in the forest with my dog, Max. He's been guarding my luggage all night, and I'm really worried about him." The person on the other end listened patiently as Emma described what had happened. After a few moments, they assured her that help was on the way. Emma felt a small sense of relief, knowing that someone would come to check on Max. While waiting for help, Emma decided to stay close to Max. She sat down beside him and wrapped her jacket around his trembling body. "You're such a good boy, Max. We'll get through this together." She could feel his warmth against her, and it made her feel less alone. Time seemed to move slowly as they waited. Emma tried to distract herself by talking to Max, telling him stories about their adventures together. She remembered the first time they met, how shy Max was, and how he gradually became her faithful friend. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Emma began to worry that help might not arrive soon. She looked at Max, who was still guarding the suitcase with unwavering dedication. His loyalty was inspiring, but Emma couldn't bear to see him so distressed. Suddenly, she heard the sound of footsteps approaching through the forest. Her heart skipped a beat, and she turned to see a figure walking towards them. It was a police officer, dressed in a uniform and carrying a flashlight. "Officer, thank goodness you're here," Emma called out, relief washing over her. The officer approached cautiously, taking in the scene before him. He saw Max standing guard over the suitcase and noticed how tired and scared the dog looked. "Hi, I'm Officer Daniel," he introduced himself kindly. "What happened here?" Emma quickly explained how Max had been guarding her luggage all night and how she was worried about his well-being. Officer Daniel listened attentively, then approached the suitcase to inspect it. As he opened the suitcase, something inside caught his eye. He hesitated for a moment, then looked back at Emma and Max. "Is everything okay?" he asked, his voice wavering slightly. Emma nodded, watching as Officer Daniel carefully examined the contents of the suitcase. Inside, there were several old photos, letters, and personal items that seemed very meaningful. Officer Daniel's eyes filled with emotion as he looked through them. "These are special," he said quietly. "They remind me of someone I lost a long time ago." His voice cracked, and Emma could see the sadness in his eyes. She realized that Officer Daniel was experiencing something deeply personal as he looked at the items. Max, sensing the change in the atmosphere, stepped back slightly but remained by Emma's side. Emma reached out and placed a comforting hand on the officer's shoulder. "It's okay. We're here now." Officer Daniel took a deep breath, trying to compose himself. "Thank you for finding me here," he said, his voice steadier now. Sometimes, memories can be very powerful. Emma felt a surge of empathy for the officer. She understood how hard it must be to deal with such emotions, especially in the middle of a forest. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," she said softly. Officer Daniel looked down at Max, who was watching him with loyal eyes. "Thank you. It's been a difficult time," he replied. "But seeing Max here, protecting you and standing by us, it reminds me of the importance of loyalty and friendship." Emma smiled, feeling a connection between the officer and Max. "Max has always been there for me. He's my best friend." Officer Daniel nodded, his eyes meeting Max's. He's a good dog. Very brave. Emma felt a wave of gratitude towards Officer Daniel. We all need someone to lean on, she said. Especially in times like these. The three of them sat together in the quiet forest, each processing their own emotions. Max rested his head on Emma's lap, finally starting to relax now that the morning light had eased the fears of the night. Officer Daniel carefully closed the suitcase and looked around the peaceful surroundings. I think it's time we head back, he said gently. You both have been through a lot tonight. Emma stood up, feeling a sense of relief that help had arrived. Thank you so much for coming, she said sincerely. I don't know what we would have done without you. Officer Daniel gave a small smile. It's my job, but I'm glad I could be here for both of you. He glanced down at Max, who gave a tired but content wag of his tail. As they made their way back through the forest, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. She knew that the bond she shared with Max was strong, and that together they could overcome any challenge. Officer Daniel walked beside them, offering kind words and understanding looks. The journey back to the campsite was peaceful, with the sounds of the forest now feeling more like a comforting backdrop than a source of fear. Emma and Officer Daniel chatted about their lives, finding common ground in their experiences and the love they had for their loyal companions. When they reached the edge of the forest, Emma could see the lights of the nearby town twinkling in the distance. The sight filled her with relief and happiness, knowing that they were almost home. Max trotted alongside her, his steps more confident now that he was no longer alone. As they approached the parking area, Officer Daniel turned to Emma. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, he said warmly. You're not alone out here. Emma nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Thank you, Officer Daniel. We really appreciate everything you've done. They said their goodbyes, and Emma watched as the officer drove away, feeling lighter than she had in hours. She turned to Max, who looked up at her with loving eyes. We did it, buddy. We're safe now. Emma knelt down and hugged Max tightly. You're my hero, Max. Thank you for staying strong all night. She could feel his warm, steady heartbeat against her chest, a comforting reminder of his unwavering loyalty. As they walked back to their car, Emma felt a renewed sense of connection with Max. She realized that their bond was more than just companionship, it was a powerful force that had kept them both safe through the night. Together, they had faced their fears and come out stronger on the other side. The drive back to town was quiet, with Max resting his head on Emma's lap. She glanced out the window, reflecting on the night's events. She thought about Officer Daniel and how their paths had crossed in such a meaningful way. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, there was always hope and the possibility of new friendships. When they finally reached their destination, Emma felt a sense of accomplishment and relief. They had made it through the night together, and Max had proven once again why he was such an important part of her life. She knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. Emma unpacked her suitcase, carefully placing her belongings back in their places. Max watched her with a contented expression, finally able to relax after hours of guarding the luggage. Emma took a moment to sit down and rest, stroking Max's fur and feeling grateful for his unwavering loyalty. As the day turned into evening, Emma and Max settled into their routine, knowing that they had each other to rely on. The forest, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now felt like a place of strength and resilience. Emma knew that with Max by her side, they could handle whatever came their way. That night, as Emma lay in her tent, she thought about the events of the past hours. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for Max and for Officer Daniel, whose visit had brought them comfort and understanding. Emma knew that their bond was unbreakable, and that together, they could overcome any obstacle. Max curled up beside her, his breathing steady and calm. Emma reached out and gently patted his head, whispering, "Thank you for being here, Max. You're the best friend anyone could ask for." As she drifted off to sleep, Emma felt a sense of peace, knowing that she and Max were safe and together. The forest, once a place of fear, had become a testament to their strength and love. And in that moment, Emma knew that no matter what the future held, she and Max would always stand by each other, ready to face whatever challenges came their way. Emma woke up early the next morning, the first light of dawn peeking through the trees. She felt worried about Max. He had been guarding the suitcase all night, and she could see he was tired and scared. She decided it was time to get help. Emma carefully packed her things and left the campsite, making sure Max stayed close by. As she walked through the forest, Emma called the local police station on her phone. Her hands were shaking, but she knew she had to stay strong for Max. After what felt like a long time, a police car pulled up to the edge of the forest. The door opened, and a kind-looking officer stepped out. He was tall with a friendly face and wore a uniform that showed he was there to help. "Hi, I'm Officer Daniel," he said with a warm smile. "I got your call." "What happened?" Emma took a deep breath and explained how she and Max had set up camp and how Max had been guarding her suitcase all night. She told Officer Daniel about the strange noises and how Max had been scared but stayed by the suitcase no matter what. Officer Daniel listened carefully, nodding as Emma spoke. He could see how much Emma cared about Max and how worried she was. "Don't worry, Emma. We're going to take care of this," he assured her. They walked together through the forest, the morning sun shining through the tall trees. Max stayed close to Officer Daniel, still a bit nervous but feeling safer with the officer there. When they reached the spot where Emma had set up camp, Officer Daniel approached the suitcase cautiously. He could see that Max was still on high alert, growling softly and watching every movement around him. Officer Daniel knelt down beside the suitcase and gently placed a hand on Max's back. "It's okay, Max. We're here to help," he whispered soothingly. Max looked up at him, his eyes full of fear and loyalty. Emma watched as Officer Daniel carefully opened the suitcase, revealing its contents. Inside the suitcase were many old items. There were photos of a family, letters tied with ribbons, and small trinkets that looked very special. Officer Daniel's eyes softened as he looked at the pictures. One photo showed a family smiling together in a forest, much like where Emma and Max were now. Another letter was written in neat handwriting, talking about love and memories. As Officer Daniel went through the items, his face began to change. He looked sad and thoughtful, and his eyes started to fill with tears. Emma didn't understand what was happening but felt a tug at her heart. She reached out and touched Officer Daniel's shoulder gently. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Officer Daniel took a deep breath, trying to hold back his emotions. "These items, they remind me of my family," he said quietly. "I lost them a long time ago, and seeing these things brings back a lot of memories." Emma felt a wave of sympathy for Officer Daniel. She could see how much the items meant to him. She placed a hand on his other shoulder, giving him comfort. Max, sensing the sadness, lay down beside the suitcase, looking up at Officer Daniel with trusting eyes. Officer Daniel closed the suitcase and looked up at Emma. "I'm sorry I got emotional. It's just been a tough time for me." He smiled through his tears. "Thank you for letting me help. Let's make sure you and Max are safe."